It's time for the One Bar and Lupagus Show, bringing you anything and everything Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome to professional football.
Hello and welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus Show. I am Lupagus, still bald as a baby's butt cheek. It's time for the fantasy football focus between the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you want to start in the game on Sunday night, which by all accounts looks like it's going to be a high scoring affair. A couple of teams with some suspect defenses facing each other on Sunday. Let's go to the Seahawks first. Obviously, if you have Russell Wilson, you're probably going to win. He should have a huge game against this Vikings defense. Right now in the season, he's already got damn near 1,300 passing yards, 16 touchdowns. He is playing on a level that few are achieving right now. He's just putting balls in ungodly spots, dropping them in there right into his receiver's hands. He's just on fire. He's locked in. He's having an MVP type of year. And with the Vikings' anemic pass rush, their young cornerback group, this is just a horrible matchup for this Vikings defense. Unless something freakishly bizarre happens where all of a sudden the lights come on and everything clicks, there's no reason to expect Russell Wilson will have less than 350 passing yards and a couple of touchdowns. That's probably worst case scenario. He should have much more than that, depending on how the game goes. Obviously, if the Seahawks get way up, they may look to pound the ball. But if it's back and forth, like many think this might be, yeah, Wilson could have his best stat line of the season. So if you have him, start him. There's no reason in hell you wouldn't at this point. I mean, why would you ever not start Russell Wilson? But definitely not just start him, but pretty much figure he's going to get you the victory on his own. Looking at his receivers, if you have a Seahawks receiver, start them as well. DK Metcalf already has 16 receptions, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. You look at how he matches up. This guy is ginormous. He's like 6'2", 6'3", 225 pounds of pure solid muscle. Him against, if he's up against the 5'10" Gladney or 5'11" Mike Hughes, that is just a major mismatch. The Vikings will probably try to get Holton Hill on him because he matches up the best size-wise, but Hill's had his struggles this year, and that is a matchup Metcalf will be heavily favored in. Tyler Lockett, again, this guy always seems to have quietly good seasons. He's already at 26 receptions, 298 yards, and 4 scores. He is Russell Wilson's favorite target. He is his go-to target. He's only like 5'10", skinny little guy, but he's quick, he's fast, he's got solid hands. He can make some very difficult catches. And again, you know, size-wise, he matches up. You know, our secondary matches up well against him, but again, he's just so quick, so fast. He's got some veteran years of experience that he will use to get the better of these inexperienced corners. So I think Lockett and Metcalf should both have huge games on Sunday. Not that you're going to sit Chris Carson. The Vikings' running defense hasn't been great, but I don't know. This feels like an air-it-out kind of game. I think both quarterbacks are going to be slinging this thing. I don't think they're going to rely too heavily on the run game. So Carson, he might get a score or so, but I don't think he's going to go over 100 yards in this game. So I would maybe cool my expectations on him a little bit. Sneaky play for the Seahawks is their other wide receiver, David Moore. This guy always seems to make one huge catch a game. They don't always go for scores, but he's got 10 receptions, 173 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if you're looking for a cheap option in a daily fantasy like a FanDuel or a DraftKings, David Moore might be worth a play because he could produce. He'd probably get a touchdown. Again, especially this game goes back and forth through the air like many figure it will. Moving on to the Vikings. I think this could be Kirk Cousins, his breakout game of the year. Seahawks secondary's given up about 400 passing yards a game. Kirk Cousins has not had that huge game yet. He's had a couple decent ones, but not that huge ones. I think him throwing for 400 this game is not out of the question. You know, maybe 2 to 4 touchdowns depending on how things go. I think Cousins will be slinging it. He played well in Seattle last year, and I don't see any reason why he won't do the same against the Seahawks this Sunday. Adam Thielen, he's having a great year so far. Again, you know, with the banged up Seahawks secondary, they're going to be starting backups at corner and safety. Thielen should have a field day against that. And obviously Justin Jefferson, he's been hot. No reason to think he's going to cool off against this pretty weak secondary of the Seahawks. So I think the Vikings, 2 main wide receivers are going to have beautiful games. Cousins as well. Don't hesitate to start Cousins this week. He'll probably be cheap in FanDuels and DraftKings. You can get him at a good price, and he could definitely pay off for you in the long run. Delvin Cook, this isn't a great matchup. The Seahawks secondary is horrible, but against the run, they're giving up about 60 yards a game. So it could be some tough sledding here for Delvin Cook. They got Jerron Reed and my boy Poona Ford in the middle of that defensive line. They're both excellent run stuffers. So Cook could find some tough sledding this week. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a goal line touchdown or two, but I don't think he's going to have the yardage numbers he's been putting up the last few weeks. A sneaky play on the Vikings side, and this is super sneaky. If you're looking for a super cheap option, he should basically be free in any kind of a daily fantasy league. Irv Smith Jr. The Seahawks safeties are down to backups, and maybe even worse. You know, they've been hit by injury. They got some other things going on here. So if Irv Smith Jr. is going to bust out in a game, this is the one to do it. I know there's nothing that's happened this season that makes anyone think this is a real possibility or something that could even remotely happen, but the matchup just screams this could be an Irv Smith Jr. kind of game. So hopefully he gets featured, hopefully he gets used, and hopefully we start seeing a bit of the breakout season from this guy that everybody thought he was going to have. All right, so that's it. That's your fantasy focus for Seahawks versus Vikings. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be a lot of points scored, a lot of yards racked up. It should be exciting. And, again, it's going to be fun from a fantasy purpose. Not many are giving the Vikings a chance to win, but who knows? We'll talk about that more in our prediction video. Until then, guys, always be sure to keep your skull in your hole.